Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to Comics Crossfire. This week we're going to be debating two villains, Marvel versus DC. Who wins? Marvel's villain is the Red Skull. DC's supervillain in this case is going to be Lex Luthor. And we had a really good debate a few weeks ago discussing the Joker versus the Red Skull, and I want to see what happens when you take a different villain, but still a marquee villain from the DC universe. That's Lex Luthor versus Red Skull, he of Captain America fame, using the Cosmic Cube and various other things to take over the world, destroy Captain America, etc. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason first. Between Lex Luthor and Red Skull, who wins? What's your short answer, sir?
It really depends on like what kind of a caliber we're talking about here. I mean, because Lex Luthor, I mean, super genius. Obviously, he has literally infinite resources at his hand. I mean, then again, Red Skull does too. I mean, with Hydra and everything, and Red Skull does have the Cosmic Cube. But then again, Lex Luthor does have his power suit and everything. But I think I got to give it to Lex Luthor just for the sole fact of being the super genius and being able to do everything he can do.
Has gone toe to toe with Superman and keeps going. Alex, who do you think?
I'm pretty sure Red Skull will just drive a tank through his building and kill him. But that's just my opinion.
All right, so
that's
Red Skull. All right.
Yeah.
Jason, how does Lex Luthor combat the tank defense?
His suit is a tank.
All right.
It's like he's got lasers and all kinds of stuff. He's got beams that freaking hurt Superman. So I think he can take out a little tank.
And in certain versions of the DC universe, certain versions, Lex Luthor actually came up with Bizarro Superman, so pretty good at cloning, pretty good at making alternative weaponry.
Yeah, you think of it, he's come up with it with trying to destroy Superman. If you think of it, he's already come up with it and used it in some way. And like I said, like with his power suit alone, he's already considered to be like one of the top contenders of the DC universe. So,
all right. Alex,
question for you, sir: when you think of power suits, who do you think of from both universes?
Go with Iron Man.
Iron Man's been defeated by the Red Skull before. Actually, the whole Avengers team, including Iron Man, has been beaten by the Red Skull before.
All right. What's the issue?
This was the series called the Red Zone, where Red Skull actually sent. Have you read it?
I am.
And you remember Iron Man being taken down in that?
I don't. It's been a few years, but I remember
I
remember Red Skull masquerading as the Secretary of Defense, Del Rusk. Yeah,
yes.
Great name.
Yes.
And I do remember reading it in a Borders when
comics.
they still were when Borders was still around, reading it there, not buying it. That's probably why they're out of business.
So I can't work with guys like this. But yes, I think the Red Skull can definitely figure out a way to take down a mechanical suit when he's been around for quite a long time, fighting super soldiers, iron soldiers, flying people, little Hawkmen, all kinds of stuff like that. I don't think he's going to have trouble with the suit.
What about, though, I mean, Jason's villain goes up against Superman, the DC superheroes. That pantheon is way more powerful than Marvel's pantheon. Red Skull, obviously goes toe-to-toe with Marvel's marquee heroes, but they're of a different league, aren't they? So how do you respond to that? I mean, yeah, taking on Iron Man and the Avengers is one thing. Red Skull going up against somebody who's taken on the Justice League and Superman on a regular basis, it's a little different.
It's also easy to say that when most of the time Lex Luthor is behind the scenes pulling the strings. He's not really out there every time physically fighting with them. There are cases when he has done that, but Lex Luthor is smart enough to know that he's not going to get out there and go fist to fist with Superman. He's fought with Batman before and stabbed him in his gut and left him for dead. He's done that with a couple other people, but he's not stupid enough to go and fight with someone like Superman, knowing you're not going to win a fist fight with this kind of guy. That's why he usually stays behind. He has that suit, in case times come where people bust in there and catch him in the act. But for the most part, every time Lex Luthor gets caught, he usually has some kind of backup plan why he's getting out of prison, or he gets locked up and he stays in prison. But you don't really see him out there throwing fists with anybody.
Well, I think most of the time the reason why he gets out of prison is always some kind of legal mumbo jumbo.
Right.
However, the Red Skull, as you said, is taken down like Iron Man, stuff like that. However, you got to remember, during the Secret Invasion, the Skrulls took out Iron Man very easily by uploading a virus into S.H.I.E.L.D., which hit everything, Stark Industries, S.H.I.E.L.D., and his suit to begin with. Lex Luthor's the kind of paranoid guy where he's the only one that has access to his suit. There's no way anybody else could hack it by like putting something into LexCorp computers. It's like one of those things, like he keeps a lot of his things separate, and if they're not, it's like one of those things where he's the only one. Iron Man tends to be kind of trusting, he lets people into his world. Lex Luthor doesn't, he just doesn't trust anybody. So I think with that key right there, because I think that would be the Red Skull's big issue, big thing would be, okay, how do I get around the suit and actually get to him? Whereas, like with Tony Stark, there's lots of information out there on his suit. Where Lex Luthor, he's changing things all the time, and he doesn't tell anybody anything. So his secretism right there would be part of his strength against the Red Skull.
Decent point. Oh,
I was going to throw in something at Jason. What about their organizations? I mean, Alex was making the point that Lex Luthor is always behind the scenes, formed the Secret Six. He has all these plots kind of behind the scenes, whereas Red Skull a little bit more out there. I mean, he's sort of the head of various incarnations of Hydra and what have you. What about their organizations? The culture, if you will, of the organizations these men put together. Who wins the organizational battle?
I think it's really going to be hard because when you put the organizations on, it also depends, because Red Skull in a way has kind of never 100% said, okay, this is my organization. He's more associated with them. Lex Luthor, of course, you have LexCorp and then all the sub companies that he has under that are doing illegal activities, trying to figure out all this black market things. But then, like I said, I mean, God, he was a part of the Nazis. How do you really compare with that?
That's an organization, yes.
Yeah, that's big time. And then,
They
of
are
course,
I've heard that. I think.
Yeah,
they're not a non-profit though.
Yeah, and then you go, then you got Hydra, and Hydra's, of course, with the, with the new Captain America movie, he's got a lot more publicity on it. Hydra is a major issue, but I think
when a guy's not unsure about what he's talking about, he stutters a lot.
I've always stuttered, bastard. Anyway, although I have to give it to Lex Luthor, mainly it's because he's just more in tune with the nowadays things, and it's his empire. He actually has an empire. He has legal as of illegal things that going on that make him money, and that he just rolls over into more things that he does. Bad thing is he's always just rolling them into things that try to kill Superman with.
Alex, organizational battle.
You're right. In Forbes magazine, Lex Luthor would be the win, but
did you say Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor, yes.
Okay.
The wrestler.
Just want to make sure.
But Lex Luthor will also help him out with that.
Okay.
But I still, again, if you're talking who's going to win the battle between the two, it's going to be the Red Skull, because again, Lex Luthor is probably going to have some kind of setup to trap the Red Skull, like he always does at his own habits, because he overestimates his own intelligence. He figures no one's smart enough to compete with him. I'll just sit behind my big old desk and handle things. And meanwhile, Red Skull is going to walk into the room, pose as his secretary, and probably stab him in the neck.
All right, that doesn't answer the organization, though. I mean, you got both groups that have their own respective organizations.
Easily Red Skull, because Red Skull, the reason it doesn't look like he's in charge of anything is because he doesn't put his name on anything. He doesn't leave a trail to be found by. He manipulates from behind the scenes. Even though these guys rep themselves, Hydra and all these other people like that, Red Skull is always somewhere behind the scenes. As soon
Wait
as
a second, didn't you say that Lex Luthor is always behind the scenes and doing stuff?
No,
and now we're talking about Red Skull doing the same thing? I mean...
Yeah, but you also talked about who's the
organization, correct?
Yeah, that's a different question.
All right. So, does Red Skull not lead from the front, or does he?
He does lead from the front. But what I'm saying is the reason why you would look at Hydra and say, oh, Red Skull's not bad, because Red Skull is probably sitting around somewhere plotting something. Then when he pops up, all of a sudden, Hydra's like, all right, hey, okay, yeah, you're back. He's in charge. He's going to tell us what to do. And then until the next little caper comes up, he disappears for a little while. That's why you never see him every now and then.
Let's go to the final word, gentlemen. Let's go with Jason first. Tell me why Lex Luthor is going to win this fight.
Lex Luthor's going to win because, evil genius. He has the technology. He has a huge empire at his will that's constantly coming up with new technology that he's using to help bring down superhumans.
All right. Alex?
Red Skull, easily. He's got bigger resources. He's got, pretty much all sections of all countries where he has at least some kind of resource to help him plot things, where Lex Luthor has LexCorp.
That's the final word for now. I'm Steve. This is Comics Crossfire. Thanks for joining us.
And he's wrong.